Florida is now in a summer sales tax holiday for pretty much everything fun under the sun. So for the next 14 weeks, you can get things like coolers and even goggles tax-free. The Yucatan Waterfront Restaurant, a place meant for food and fun, is now focused on the evacuation. So I'd be able to go on my phone and ask for a funky electronic beat. Well, there it is. But what if I wanted something different? Maybe make it a little bit darker and slower. Well, it can adjust based on your recommendation. Nearly 35 feet wide, and even standing at the edge, I could not see the bottom. The house nearby has been deemed dangerous to live in. There's not a phrase that sums up this moment in time better than the calm before the storm. As preparations continue here in Steinhatchee, members of this river community are bracing for the imminent arrival of Hurricane Idalia. The Argentine black and white tegu, if this is what that is, was added to the FWC's prohibited species list in 2021. The extent of that network stretches from big tech companies all the way to local police departments. For example, a social media giant like Facebook receives a report about an image on its platform. It would then send that tip to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. They then look into the case to see where the individual or group might reside. And if the crime does occur in North Florida, the contact is the ICAC headquarters at GPD. Chris Murphy lives for the water. The Gainesville native unloads his boat, starts the engine, and heads out for the day.
We're getting ready to go on the lake and do some wake surfing. That's what we pretty much do non-stop.
But this isn't one of those typical days.
We can take one more if somebody wants to go.
On this day, he's going out for something else. Unfamiliar scenery, hundreds of miles from home. He's helping Hurricane Ian survivors.
Everything's pretty much decimated from what we understand, and so we're going to hope to go out there and pick some people up and bring them back and help them get back to food, shelter.
Murphy, along with his daughter and her husband, made the trip from north central Florida to help those impacted by the storm.
Caught an hour or two of sleep in the Publix parking lot, and now we're at it.
The destination is Pine Island. Residents of the small farming island have been without power and water since the start of the storm.
I don't know what's going on. I'm sitting here in the dark for 2 days.
Dinger is one of thousands. All the residents on the island have been cut off from the mainland after the roads and bridges were washed out by the storm surge. Here at the Yucatan Waterfront Restaurant, a place meant for food and fun, is now focused on the evacuation. As many residents try to leave the island, the U.S. Coast Guard and other first responders from across the state have turned their resources to the region to help any way they can.
The community comes together in every natural disaster that we have. We have the strongest knit community around anywhere. When Katrina happened over there in New Orleans, we sent 50 crews, trucks, boats over there to help them. And they're paying us back the same way. I've seen people from Mississippi, Louisiana.
Even Dinger, who's been impacted by the storm, has taken to the roads to make them safe for travel. Despite that, he still feels lost.
You know, I just don't know what to do. I'm willing to lend a hand if I knew who to lend it to.
Joining the many hands, mobilizing to help those impacted by the storm, including Murphy.
Knowing that we had the resources to do something, we just decided to come down and work the weekend to help some people out.
And as his boat cuts through the water, Murphy and his family are helping the people of Southwest Florida one ride at a time. On Pine Island, Chris Will, WUFT News. The creation of the football field is a sacred task, one that requires patience, precision, and a little bit of paint. An over 57,000 square foot canvas with one of the most vital pieces falling to one man. It's Saturday, it's the South, and it's SEC football in the Swamp. And it all starts right here. Under the lights, not Saturday night, but long before kickoff.
They do their job, and we have done our job. They come out, they mess it up, and I redo it again.
Steven Peters is a part of the Florida Gators turf team, an elite squad tasked with maintaining and designing each competition field at the University of Florida.
We get the place ready for the main event, the athletes to come on and take the field and do their thing.
Nearly 20 years ago, this New Jersey accountant
They might think I'm nuts, but
traded in his office chair in Princeton
it's not a job.
for a new office with far fewer walls,
You know, it makes you feel young.
one that seats nearly 90,000 people.
Like, I just love still coming to work every day.
Steven's role on this team? Painting the lines. Every Gator game for nearly 2 decades.
I take pride in those lines. You know, they probably have to be pretty straight.
It's a piece of the puzzle that is preparing for a Gators game day. It's a science, a process, one that UF Sports Turf Director Jason Smith says requires 300 gallons of paint each game week.
We'll spend some long days out here, some hot days, painting and stuff, but when it's game time and it's shining, and it's all worth it.
The end zone, the hash marks, and that famous Gator logo. Every detail matters.
There's nowhere to hide when it's on ESPN, you know, or CBS, so it just pushes you to be perfect.
But Steven says those lights never get too bright.
If you think there is pressure, then you might feel the pressure. You just have to act like, you know, I mean, for instance, when I go and do these lines, you know, there's pressure to make it straight, but you just can't think that, you know, you just have to just do it.
The soon-to-be 72-year-old knows a thing or two about big moments. He's been around for many of them. Steven painted the lines during the 2006 and 2008 national championship seasons, like an artist putting his paint on the canvas of one of the most iconic atmospheres in college football.
And next thing you know, you watch the progress of the field getting done, and then when you go up top and look at it, and you go, wow, that looks gorgeous.
Over 100 years worth of teams, players, and coaches have cemented their legacy into the walls of Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. And after 20 years of service to the historic venue, Steven may soon be leaving his last mark.
But it's hard for me to do it because I love it so much. I know once I leave, I can't come back.
An artist fighting with the reality
We're getting there.
that he may soon leave behind his final orange and blue masterpiece. This week, the Gator Turf team added the black outline to the end zones. It's all a part of the Blackout campaign that you'll hear more about coming up. Reporting from the newsroom, Chris Will, WFT News.